Welcome to Love Speaks the Loudest. Relax, unwind, and enjoy today's stories. Don't forget to subscribe for more. Here's the first one. The coffee wafted gently in his hand, sending thin spirals of steam curling through the air, weaving around his slicked back hair like ethereal threads. Coffee wasn't his usual indulgence, but the long journey ahead demanded it. There were still countless miles to cover, and the espresso sharpened his thoughts. Whether that clarity would bring solace or trouble was yet to be determined. Daniel was young, but what did young truly mean? His mind brimmed with dreams, ambition, and ideals. Love was at the forefront of these musings, as he was a staunch believer in its transformative power. To him, love was a universal force, an essential philosophy of humanity. Everything deserved love, and everything in turn should give it. This belief was the foundation of his morality, though it often made him the subject of gentle ridicule from friends and family. They viewed his perspective as overly sentimental, perhaps even naive. But for Daniel, it was a comforting constant in an unpredictable world. A Buddhist might have eloquently captured his yearning in words, but Daniel, a Kansas native, had encountered little beyond the Baptist and Catholic traditions that shaped his upbringing. He closed his eyes for a moment and thought of Olivia. To him, she was the very embodiment of love, an angel made flesh, crowned with stunning auburn hair. Absently, his fingers brushed against a cough drop in his pocket, which he quickly unwrapped and placed in his mouth. He wasn't unwell. He simply enjoyed the refreshing cherry flavour as it replaced the bitterness of the coffee. The small pleasure soothed him as he fiddled with his phone, a basic device encased in a sturdy blue cover. Unlocking it, he frowned. No notifications. His last message to Olivia had gone unread for 6 hours. He had told her he was coming, had hoped for a warm, excited response. The silence unsettled him. Sliding the phone back into his pocket, he began to rise but paused mid-motion. Across the nearly empty café, a girl was watching him. Her gaze was unusual, not invasive or flirtatious, but curious, as though trying to unravel some secret about him. The sunlight filtering through the window bathed her in a hazy glow, softening her features. Deciding there was no harm in indulging his curiosity, Daniel greeted her. "Good morning," he ventured. The response was little more than a tired grunt. Deciding to forego formalities, he went straight to the point. "Is something on your mind?" he asked, sitting across from her without waiting for an invitation. She was, undeniably, an intriguing character. Her hair, streaked with purple highlights, curled into soft, deliberate waves that reminded Daniel of a Parisian evening sky. He had been to Paris once, a city he found magical despite Olivia's complaints about the smell. They'd cut the trip short because of her dissatisfaction, though Daniel secretly planned to return one day, having already found an affordable cultural tour of Central Europe. The girl tilted her head, her hair shifting like silk as she regarded him with mild confusion. "What an odd question to ask," she said finally. "Not as odd as staring at a stranger," he countered with a slight smile. "Rough night?" She nodded slowly, her expression softening. "I've been driving for hours," she admitted with a light laugh. "It's been a long night." A moment of realization crossed her face. "Was I staring? Sorry, I didn't mean to." Her apology disarmed him, and he smiled in return. Before long, they were engaged in easy conversation, the kind that flowed naturally between strangers, unburdened by expectations or prior knowledge of one another. As the sun climbed higher, painting the sky with warm hues, the inevitable question arose. "So, what's got you on the road?" she asked, sipping her coffee in a manner Daniel found both casual and coy. He, now refreshed and alert, had switched to a glass of orange juice. He hesitated briefly, considering how best to respond. "I'm going to see a girl," he said simply. "A friend?" she pressed. "More than that, I think." He paused, then added, "But she's moved all the way to California, so we'll see how long it lasts." The last words slipped out before he could stop them, leaving a faint sting of regret. He hadn't meant to sound uncertain. The girl, whose name he had learned was Mia, let out a quiet chuckle. When he turned the question back on her, she regarded him with a playful smile before answering. "A boy," she said after a brief pause, her raised eyebrows adding a hint of mischief. Daniel studied her, struck by the contradiction she seemed to embody. Her confident demeanour, her striking hair, it all suggested rebellion, yet she bore none of the piercings or heavy accessories he associated with the girls he'd known in high school. Not even the simple earrings Olivia often wore adorned her ears. She was, in a word, different. Daniel couldn't help but linger on the peculiar absence of adornment on Mia's face, her lack of even simple earrings. It struck him as odd, perhaps a rebellion against disapproving parents. Then again, he mused, such things rarely stopped anyone determined to go their own way. "How nice," he said, genuinely meaning it and feeling a sense of relief in his sincerity. "Where does he live?" "Kansas, if you can believe it," she replied with a playful scowl that carried a mixture of affection and concern. "Poor guy, his grandpa's in the hospital." "That's awful," Daniel said, his tone softening. Mia nodded earnestly. "He's really shaken up about it. I figured the least I could do was visit." "Of course," Daniel agreed. He popped another cough drop into his mouth, trying to resist the urge to check his phone again. Its volume was turned up. Any notification would immediately catch his attention. She should have been awake by now. The clock behind Mia read 8:35, and Olivia's class started at 8:45. She always checked her phone before class. That was their unspoken routine. "Are you sick?" Mia asked suddenly, snapping him out of his thoughts. No, he said quickly. "It's just a habit, I guess." Then, steering the conversation back, he asked, "You said your boyfriend's from Kansas? Really?" "If you're about to make fun of him after I just told you—" "Of course not," Daniel interrupted, his words tumbling over one another. "It's just, I'm from Kansas too." That seemed to catch her attention. "Really?" "Yeah. Hey, maybe I even know him. Where in Kansas is he from? I'm a Topeka native." No such luck. He's from Ottawa." "Not too far off," Daniel said with a shrug. "Wait, didn't you say you're—" Mia trailed off. "What's her name again?" "Olivia," he supplied. "Right, Olivia," she said, her expression shifting as understanding dawned. "California. Wait, you couldn't mean—" Daniel's stomach turned as she smiled, bright and mischievous. "Sacramento," she said, drawing out the word. "Tell me I'm lucky, Tiger." Daniel blinked, his mind racing. "Oh, my God." "Really?" she exclaimed, clapping her hands together in excitement. "That's so wild. Darwin High?" No, she mentioned Harper." "Well then," Mia said, leaning back with a self-satisfied smile. "Looks like I win." Daniel laughed, finally giving in to the urge to check his phone. "Just need to check the time," he mumbled. "Analog clocks will be the death of me." The screen showed 8:45, one notification, no messages. He sighed, the disappointment plain on his face. Mia was watching him, curiosity glinting in her eyes. "It's not too late, you know," she said thoughtfully. "Sacramento's only 8 hours away." "It's not that," he admitted. "She hasn't texted me back yet. I told her I was close. I guess I expected at least a good morning." "Does that make me needy?" She rolled her eyes, laughing. "All you boys are the same," she teased. Then, peering at his screen, she lit up. "Oh, that's so cool." "What?" "Your weather app? It's set for Utah?" "Well, we're in Utah," he pointed out, gesturing toward the barren landscape beyond the cafe window, dotted with dusty shops and little else. "Yeah, but mine never updates right." She pulled out her phone and fiddled with it, showing him the screen. "See? It's stuck on Sacramento. Sometimes it'll switch when I'm in Kansas long enough, but mostly it just stays like this." "You're not missing much. It's supposed to be blazing hot today," he said, eyeing her leather jacket. "Hope your car's got good AC?" "It does, actually." She frowned at her phone, her expression shifting as something caught her attention. Abruptly, she slipped the device back into her pocket, looking paler than before. Daniel glanced at the clock. It was just past 9. If he left now, he could make it to Sacramento in time for dinner. Perhaps he'd take Olivia to the sushi place they visited on their 4th date. The thought brought a rare smile to his face, one warm enough for Mia to notice. "You should get going, huh?" she asked, following his gaze to the clock. Daniel nodded. She laughed softly. "Well, don't let me keep you." As he rose, he paused at the door. "I hope your boyfriend's grandfather pulls through." "That's sweet of you," she said with a gentle smile. "Maybe we'll cross paths again," he offered, his tone hopeful. "I'd like that," she replied. "And I'd love to meet your Olivia someday. Such a pretty name." "It is," he agreed before heading out to his car, the engine roaring to life as he sped away, leaving a trail of dust in his wake. Only after he was gone did Mia pull out her phone again. Her pale fingers trembled slightly as she scrolled to confirm her fears. The news banner slid across the screen, delivering a grim message. A car crash. A vehicle had flipped on the freeway, scattering debris across all 4 lanes. No survivors. Her breath caught as she read the details. The image accompanying the article was hauntingly beautiful, the face of someone so achingly familiar. The name beneath it, etched in light grey text like cold steel, made her heart sink. She closed her eyes, the cafe's silence broken only by the faint strains of an old Simon and Garfunkel song playing over the speakers. The melancholic melody spoke of bridges and forgotten fights, of final goodbyes acknowledged too late. As she left the cafe, she murmured softly to herself, "Such an interesting name." Then, like a shadow, she disappeared into the searing desert wind. I hope you liked it, dear listeners. And we can continue with the second one. Second story. The boy I admire has dark, soft hair, hazel eyes that seem to glimmer with warmth, and a smooth tan that makes him stand out effortlessly. His voice is deep and resonant, like a soothing melody that sends shivers cascading down my spine. Every time I hear his voice in the hallway outside our classroom, my heart races, skipping a beat in anticipation of his arrival. Right now, I hear that familiar voice echoing in the corridor. Quickly, I flip open a book on my desk, pretending to engross myself in its pages. I try to seem oblivious as he strides into the room with an air of quiet confidence, taking the seat beside me. His cologne is light, understated, yet inexplicably calming. It lingers just enough to make his presence even more comforting. "Good morning, Lily," he says, his tone casual but warm. I manage to mumble a faint response, mentally scolding myself for not speaking more clearly. Yet, he smiles at me anyway, the dimples on both sides of his mouth making the gesture even more disarming. Sneaking a glance at him through my lashes, I notice the kindness in his playful eyes and the authenticity of his smile. Embarrassed, I return my focus to the book in front of me. It's a futile effort. My mind refuses to absorb the words on the page. The letters blur into an incoherent mess as I remain hyper-aware of the boy sitting next to me. Eye contact is something I struggle with, not just with him, but with everyone. It's part of why the teacher assigned me to the seat beside him. Adam has a reputation for being approachable and kind, making him the natural choice to sit next to students who struggle or are bullied. He treats everyone with the same easygoing warmth and has never been heard speaking unkindly about anyone. For someone like me who has endured relentless bullying, being placed next to him has been a quiet relief. My shyness isn't just a personality trait. It's a debilitating barrier that leaves me fumbling for words, even in simple interactions. Avoiding eye contact feels safer, so I spend most of my time looking down at my shoes as I navigate the hallways. Making friends has been impossible. Conversations, the foundation of any friendship, are beyond me. My odd behaviour and inability to stand up for myself make me an easy target for mockery. Everyone knows I won't tell a soul about the cruel words or actions directed at me, which only makes it worse. Lost in my thoughts, I fail to notice the sudden hush in the room. When I finally look up, I find every pair of eyes in the class fixed on me, including the teachers. My cheeks flush as my mind goes blank. "Miss Parker?" the teacher prompts. It's roll call. She's waiting for me to confirm my presence, but the words are stuck, tangled in the fear of their stares. The longer they wait, the harder it becomes to force the words out. "She's here." Adam's voice cuts through the tension, drawing all attention to himself. The teacher hesitates, as if considering whether to object, but eventually nods. "Fine, I'll accept that." "Mr. Caldwell, since you've spoken for Miss Parker, I'll mark you present as well." Adam shrugs nonchalantly, and the class breaks into laughter. The pressure on me eases, and I feel my shoulders relax. I steal another glance at Adam, grateful for his intervention. I wish I could tell him how much it means to me, how his presence has made school not only bearable, but, at times, even enjoyable. Though I rarely speak to him, I consider him my friend. From the way he treats me, chatting with me despite my silence, I wonder if he might think of me as a friend too. Since being seated next to him, the taunts from other students have noticeably lessened. Adam's popularity protects me in ways I can't explain. He's admired for his talents in track, band, and theatre, effortlessly excelling in everything he does. His friendly nature and sharp sense of humour earn him friends in every corner of the school, yet he remains grounded and unpretentious. Once, I overheard classmates mocking me, calling me odd and weird. Their words stung, but I had learned to endure such cruelty. Adam, however, didn't ignore it. He stepped in, asking them to stop and acknowledging my presence, as if to remind them I was more than their target. His defence left me simultaneously grateful and heartbroken. I don't want to be just someone he feels obligated to protect. I wish I could tell him how much I admire his kindness, how much I value his presence, and how deeply I care for him. But I know I'll never find the courage. When we graduate, our paths will diverge, and he'll never know the feelings I keep locked away. My silence ensures that possibility will remain forever out of reach. As if sensing my thoughts, Adam catches me looking at him. He winks, his dimples deepening as he flashes a playful smile. It's his unspoken way of saying, "You're welcome," for saving me during roll call. My heart swells, then aches with the weight of unspoken words. I wish I could be normal. I wish I could tell him how I feel, and that he might feel the same. But instead, I lower my gaze to the book in front of me and pretend to read, retreating into my silent, fractured world. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss our next one. Have a wonderful day.